Hello, guys. Welcome to Monitoring and Evaluation Made Simple. I'm your host, Coach Alexander. I'm so glad that you've joined me today because today we're going to be discussing a very important topic that affects all of us. And this is the Sustainable Development Goals, which is being spearheaded by the United Nations. Now, we all know these goals by now, and there are 17 of them. And if you look on the slide just in front of you, you can see what exactly we as a world are trying to achieve. But whether it's achievable is a debate for another day. Okay, so now maybe let me just give you a bit of a background. And you might be wondering why I'm even discussing this topic, but let me just give you a bit of a background, and then you're going to really fully understand why this is important to us. Okay, so now during the 2012 United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, okay, Rio plus 20 member states agreed to launch a process to develop a set of sustainable development goals to succeed the Millennium Development Goals. So I'm sure you all remember these Millennium Development Goals, okay? And I remember back then, I mean, I was just starting my career and I kept on, these Millennium Development Goals were being sung all the time. Okay, so I don't know how it fared, and I must mention to you, I really don't know how the Millennium Development Goals fared, but I'll do some background research and maybe present it to you on a later date when I feel like. But let's continue reading. It says the SDGs are to address all three dimensions of the sustainable development: environmental, economic, and social, and be coherent with and integrated into the United Nations Global Development Agenda beyond 2050. The envisaged SDGs have a time horizon of 2015 to 2030. So, guys, I'm sure you're so aware right now we are in 2020, so 5 years have already elapsed and we have 10 years to go. Okay, so let's consider some of these goals. Okay, let's discuss the first four and see what we can learn. It says the goal number one, no poverty. So the target for this goal by 2030, eradicate extreme poverty for all people everywhere, currently measured as people living on less than $1.25 a day. All right, so that's goal number one. So the goal number two is the target is okay. The goal number two is no hunger, and the target is by 2030 end hunger and ensure access by all people, in particular the poor and people in vulnerable situations, including infants, to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food all year round. So that's goal number two. Goal number three, good health. Okay, targets. Oh, and by the way, these targets I'm presenting to you, there are different targets. I just chose one. We are just sampling today's presentation. But on their website, there are so many targets under each goal. So I just chose one from each goal. So these are some of the targets. It says by 2030, reduce the global maternal mortality ratio to less than 70%, 70 per 100,000 live births. Go for quality education. By 2030, ensure that all girls and boys complete free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education leading to relevant and go for effective learning outcomes. Okay, so you can already see how these goals have been structured, right? And then you can see the targets, you can see the indicators that they are using to measure whether they're achieving their goals. There's something I need to tell you dear friends, that this is just fine. Okay, because when you look at it globally, it's you can obviously see commitment. Okay, the nations have that commitment and drive to end the problems that we are facing today. Okay, I mean, if you look at goal one, no poverty, all right, poverty needs to be eradicated. That's everyone's vision. And if you look at the target, they've defined the indicators how they are going to be measuring this. Okay, so usually when it comes to development of projects, whether it's you can already see this is a global thing, but even at country level, even at community level, you can see that there's a lot of participation from stakeholders. But there's something I need to tell you, and I'm sure you fully agree with me, that the minute you go global, it becomes really difficult to achieve the goals and the targets. But when you zero in a community, it's so easy to manage. For instance, at global level now you go down to country level, then from country level you go to the communities. It's so easy to manage even your targets. But as it is right now, even when you say eradicate extreme poverty, we've crossed over 5 years and there's still poverty, all right? And it's really hard to, from a layman's perspective, I don't know how the experts look at this thing, but the experts are obviously saying it's possible. But from a layman, I still see a lot of poverty around, and we wouldn't know whether we are going to really achieve this by 2030 because the Millennium Development Goals, for a start, I don't know if they really achieved these things. So, but there's something we can learn. Life is always about learning. So, when it comes to these things, when designing of a project program, it's always good to involve the participation of different stakeholders as the United Nations have done. And it's always good to have the targets, all right, and also have the indicators clearly defined as they have done. Okay, but the only challenge from what I'm seeing is that this global thing is really difficult to manage from a layman's perspective. So I want to hear your thoughts about this short presentation, what I'm going to be doing. Once in a while, we're going to be talking about this. I don't know, I don't even know how this is being monitored, but I'll also give you my own perspective based on data that I'll be using from the World Bank database. So at this point in time, I'll say bye right now. Until we meet again, see you on the other side. Bye.